My mother, I knew that if she cut herself, she bled a lot, but that was the norm for us. We did.
I always remember my mum saying, I bleed a lot, and I think the children do too. She had a tooth out. I can remember going into the bedroom, she was in bed, towels, just soaking up blood. And it was from then that they'd said, we think that you've got haemophilia.
When they tested me for everything and found out I had got a bleeding disorder, they tested my children as well then.
We were diagnosed with haemophilia C, factor 11 deficiency. My brothers were treated different to how myself and my mum were. It was a real battle with medical professionals to say that we'd got a bleeding disorder.
Well, she's a girl. Girls, I didn't think girls were haemophilia. I said, it's a bleeding, it's all it is, it's a slow clotting factor. You have to fight for your children.
When I was at school, especially secondary school, I felt very lonely and isolated. I was always cautious about going into relationships. But then when I met my husband, he was very understanding and supportive. It was completely different. We'd planned to have a family, and then I fell pregnant with Tegan, and we kind of hadn't really considered the bleeding disorder or sat down and spoke about it. But then I don't think that would have really mattered. We'd made a decision up that we wanted a family. They said, because of my bleeding disorder, I'd have to be transferred to a specialist hospital. I was disappointed, and I did kind of feel, I want to be like my friends. I want to be having the choice like they do of going to the local hospitals. However, when I did go into labour, I'd started to have a bleed. All of a sudden, there were nurses, doctors, and they were rushing, pulling the bed, running down the corridor. And the next thing, they handed me my daughter, and she was fine. As long as you've got a care plan in place and the right treatment and they do know how to deal with it, it's fine. It's when they don't know that that's the danger. There you are, Tegan.
Yeah, me with my little hat. Tiny little hat. All in pink.
We always were of the caution that Tegan may have a bleeding disorder. So we really have to be careful if she has a bump or a knock. And especially, head injuries are really serious. Any bump to the head, we would have to take her straight to the hospital. I felt really anxious, constantly following her around, wanting to wrap her in cotton wool, worried about her banging into tables or falling.
When I was younger, I did feel that my bleeding disorder was a bit more of a hindrance to me. I did think that people were holding me back from stuff that normal people do in their childhood, and it did often feel like I was very different to other children, but I didn't understand why, and I think that's probably one of the worst things about it. I started horse riding when I was 2. It's just something that I've loved for a really long time. The stables were very supportive when I told them about my bleeding disorder. They said that I could give them my medication and that they make sure that they keep an eye on me and I'd always be safe there.
When you see them cantering around or jumping, sometimes I have to put my hands over my eyes. But I just have to think what my parents had said. They never wanted us to miss out. I did horse riding myself, and I can remember the times being thrown off, but my mum and dad were still at the side and saying, well, if you're injured, we'll get you to the hospital. It's not a problem. So I have to do the same with Tegan.
Nicola likes Tegan to do everything. We don't like saying, well, no, you can't do that, you can't do this, because she wouldn't be living a normal life then. And we just prepared. She's always got some medication with her. She manages it very well, considering her age, but she always has done.
She loves it, and that's what I've got to think is when I sit on the side, it's not about me, it's about Tegan. I've always looked at my bleeding disorder to put things in place and not that it's a barrier. I've got a work passport which details about my bleeding disorder. My manager's aware if it's a time of the month that I do tend to leave meetings quite a lot to go to the toilet. I'm supported with that they know about it, they understand why.
When you start your period as someone with a bleeding disorder, it is very overwhelming. I started my period in school. I think I was very scared. The school were actually very supportive, although they didn't really know what to do at first, because I think I was one of their first haemophilia students, and we just sort of had to guide them through it, where we said, I need a toilet pass, and when I need to go out of lessons, I need to go out of lessons.
If Nicola bled at the school and it came through her clothes, which it can well do, it was very embarrassing for her. Whereas Tegan has a toilet pass, she has clothes there that the teachers know there's a care plan. So it has been much better and much more positive. Tegan has had a lot better care as time's gone on because they are aware, and she's under the right medical team for a bleeding disorder. But perhaps one day soon, I hope that all the medical teams will be aware, and it won't be such a problem. Recently, I had a bowel screening and it came back positive. And so my GP did an emergency referral. Well, I rang up after a week because I'd heard nothing. And then he said, no, what we're going to do, we're going to refer you. We haven't got the facilities to cope with you because you're haemophiliac. Well, the way he kept on, it did make you feel like something wrong with me, I'm a freak. Well, I don't want that to happen for my daughter and granddaughter, and it will unless it's, people are aware of the situation.
I remember as a young child, we didn't know anyone else, any other families with a bleeding disorder, and I didn't feel that my friends could understand. I kind of kept it to myself.
Well, you didn't talk about it. Well, I don't want that for my granddaughter.
Well, I think it's really important that Tegan is empowered, and therefore I've done what I can to introduce her to the Haemophilia Society, to gain support and knowledge.
The haemophilia camps I've been on have been so nice, because as much as I love talking to my mum and my nan and the rest of my family about my conditions, I sort of need people that are in my generation and people that are experiencing the same problems that I am. It just makes me feel like such a changed person, because I know that there's other people out there, no matter how far away they are, that do feel the same way that I do. It really does. It just feels really special.
What we wanted to do is to say, yes, we know that you've got this bleeding disorder, it can be managed, and that you can lead a normal life like anyone else and not feel excluded. At times, it can be difficult. It can be really isolating and lonely. But however, if there's other people out there that have experienced the same or are, if you all kind of stand together and support each other, it's a lot easier.
In the future with my bleeding disorder, I would definitely like to take it to being an ambassador, or definitely having some part in a campaign, because I feel that it's not something that should be kept hidden or looked down on, or especially something that should affect your life badly, it can be turned into something really good, and I'd much rather like to help other people for it.